Hello guys, my name is K. Lyndon Toba. I'm your humble presenter of the program The Focal Point. As the demand for critical analysis and reliable information continues to be the appetite of the Liberian population, it is incumbent upon media practitioners to always be objective, independent, and fact-based in their reportorial duties. The clarion call for credible, reliable, and issue-based presentation must be considered at all times. In the wake of these functions and duty to service, it is only one show that stands tall among the rest. Focal Point, a program where we scrutinize, examine, and cross-examine by allowing the audience to participate by posting and calling and commenting on the subject under discussion. We bring the guests in studio, we quiz them, and analyze the issue. Once again, this is your regular Monday friend, K. Lyndon Toba, on the Focal Online TV.
Good evening, fellow Nigerians. It's absolutely good to be here after a very long week, after a weekend. It's good to be back here to bring you, most importantly, the program Focal Point on Focal Online TV. So on Monday, at about this time, whenever you see this particular face, you should always get reminded that we are about to discuss a program related to the program Focal Point. So over the last few days, there has been lots of new things happening in our country, and those things are very important to be discussed about. And this is why we are not going to raise our voice. We are going to be speaking because I believe that the moment we go silent on some of the issues that are taking place in our country isn't going to go anywhere. So my name is King Lyndon Toba. Welcome to the program Focal Point on Focal Online TV. So there are lots of new things happening. As you may be aware, that we are under a brand new leadership. A democratically elected government successfully turned power over to another democratically elected government. So President Joseph Waka has been clothed with the responsibility and to definitely drive the agenda of our country, Liberia, for the next 6 years. So over the last few days, since he was sworn in as president of the Republic of Liberia, President Joseph Waka has been making a lot of appointments, and some of those appointments has gone to the Senate for confirmation because that is just what the Constitution demands, that whenever you are being appointed for a particular position in adherence before you take office, you need to actually go for confirmations. I'm just talking about some of those positions that the constitutions made reference to because there are other positions, there are other appointments the president made, and those appointments are not subject to Senate confirmations. I am speaking relatively about appointments that are subject to Senate confirmation. So the president, the Unity Party folks, when they were in opposition, they have always frowned on these issues about drug, the proliferations of drug in the country. The drug activity was on the increase. The drugs activity is on the increase under the George Weah-led government. To some extent, they were mostly engaged. Most of their propaganda, their campaign propaganda was tailored around that drug issue. So, considering the fact that the Unity Party government is now in power, every Liberians, including our foreign, our international partners, are very, very key. They are eager to understand what the Unity Party will definitely do, especially in tackling the drug issue. So, during the President's State of the Nation's address, President Joseph Waka declared drug and substance abuse, especially Kuch. He was very specific drug and substance abuse as a national public health emergency. That particular debate, that particular statement from the president has sparked a lot of debate across the length and breadth of Liberia. And prior to that, we have been hearing that the president was contemplating on nominating somebody who could duly uh, work at the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency to definitely help in tackling these particular issues, because obviously the drug situation is something that really needs to be tackled. Because if you look at most of what is happening in Liberia, our brothers and sisters are getting so much involved into these drug addictions. Under President Weah, there were lots of protests calling the president's action at the time to repeal the drug law, elevate from available offense to a non-billable offense. There were lots of civil society organizations that spoke in relation to that. And thanks to President Joseph Kabaka was very far-sighted to have embed it within his State of the Nation's address. So the president has, however, declared drug abuse as a national public health emergency. National public health emergency. So all drug-related cases will be treated as a national public health emergency. What did the president do? The president further organized himself a multi-sectoral committee in which the Ministry of Health is being clothed with the responsibility to chair that particular committee. And also you have the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, you have the Ministry of Finance playing a very pivotal role in that particular establishment. So over the weekend or prior to the weekend, Conan Abi Kruman, who was appointed by President Joseph Yemen Boakai, went for Senate confirmation, and he was actually successful. He was confirmed, so he is expected to definitely begin his job. He is expected to definitely begin his job at the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency in the coming days. So there has been several arguments about Abi Kruman and what Liberians make about his appointment into that particular position, what Liberians envisage should Abi Kruman be confirmed. So a few days ago, Abi Kruman was on Friday specifically. He was at the Senate. He was confirmed as the director of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. So we are also eager to understand or to realize what are some of those key issues. What are those programs the Unity Party government will definitely be instituting to make a very meaningful impact, a very bigger impact in the fight against drug and substance abuse. We are coming. Let's just take a short break. When we come back, let's take a short break. Let's take a short break. Let's take a short break. Let's take a short break.
Hello guys, my name is K. Lyndon Toba. I'm your humble presenter of the program, The Focal Point. As the demand for critical analysis and reliable information continues to be the appetite of the Liberian population, it is incumbent upon media practitioners to always be objective, independent, and fact-based in their reportorial duties. The clarion call for credible, reliable, and issue-based presentation must be considered at all times. In the wake of these functions and duty to service, it is only one show that stands tall among the rest. Focal Point, a program where we scrutinize, examine, and cross-examine by allowing the audience participate by posting and calling and commenting on the subject under discussion. We bring the guests in studio, we quiz them, and analyze the issue. Once again, this is your regular Monday friend, K. Lyndon Togbat, on the Focal Online TV.
Come back again, folks. It's actually good to be. It's actually good to be back. For those of you who are watching along with us, we plead with you to please share the live video. We plead with you to please share the live video. So there is an article published in the front page Africa newspaper, drug title Liberia Drug Enforcement say Director Destiny vows to arrest public officials into the unwholesome practice of trafficking drug. The Director Designate of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, Ibrahim Kurman, has vowed to ensure the arrest and subsequent prosecution of any public officials, including representatives and senators who are engaged into trafficking and trading of narcotic and other dangerous drugs and substances in the country. Mr. Kurman is the first Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of Liberia and Deputy Director for Operations of the Liberia National Police. In keeping with Article 54 of the Liberian Constitution, he was recently nominated to head the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency by President Joseph Yema Boakai and forwarded to the Liberian Senate for confirmation. He promised not to take cell phone calls from lawmakers and other higher ups in government fronting or shielding drug dealers, traffickers, or compromises the sound tax and duties following his confirmation to their position. He gave the assurance when he appeared for confirmation before the Senate Committee on National Security, Defense, and Veteran Affairs at the Capitol building on Friday, February 2. His assertions were in response to questions on whether or not he has the spine to arrest public officials, including lawmakers involved into the sale of trafficking of drugs. Yes, I do have the spine to arrest and prosecute representatives, senators, and others involved. I will do the best I can to bring the order and law to this country at any given time. I will be part of nobody. No senator, representative, government official will be calling me to say, "Oh my man, I am involved into some kind of drug matter. Please tell your people to disengage." This is not going to be under my watch. Mr. Kurman stressed that he will not be part of any unprofessional act in the discharge of his function. He said the LDEA under his administration will ensure the holistic implementation of the new drug law without fear or favor, raiding of ghettos. He noted that ghettos will be raided from Monroeville within 2 months period. Mr. Kurman averred that those apprehended from these ghettos will be taken to the holding centers for detoxification. He described users of illicit drug as victims. According to him, drug users must be rehabilitated to enable them to make meaningful contribution to the society. In 6 months' time, we can go to those holding centers and get them out after they are taught life skills training, and they can come back to contribute to the society. My prime objective is the treatment aspect of drug, which is rehabilitation. Mr. Kurman observed that though the treatment and rehabilitation of drug users is paramount, it has been allegedly abandoned by government. He added that the rehabilitation process of ex-soldiers during the disarmament process was not given keen attention, and as such, some of them are now in the street mentally derailed. The time to go The time to go into the towns and villages and get the folks involved and caution them. The drug law that was passed should be public knowledge. People should know and feel the effects of the law. He pointed out that rigorous engagement should be carried out in the community, schools, churches, malls, and other public areas to discourage the trading and intake of narcotic and other dangerous substances. He said traditional leaders, local authorities, including commissioner, town chiefs, and parliament chiefs, will be involved into the process. We will engage the community so that community leaders will now see themselves help us to resolve this menace, which is now a national crisis and a clear and pressing danger. If we cannot face it now, it is going to face tomorrow. Drug tests. He said all LDA agents should be subjected to a drug test. If you do not pass the drug test, you are not going to work with me. He stressed that LDA agents are not LMP officers, and as such, anyone caught extorting money from drivers or passengers at various checkpoints, especially in the Leeward area, will be dealt with accordingly. Mr. Kurman maintained that agents can only collaborate with the Liberian National Police counterpart doing a joint security operation, but not standing at checkpoint carry on the workings of the Liberian National Police. He said agents must carry out their functions in keeping with the act that created the agency if they must be respected by members of the public. He underscored the need for all agents of LDA to reapply, but in keeping with civil service regulation. Low budget. Mr. Cromand termed as a drop in the ocean previous budgetary allocations into the agency. He observed the lack of logistical support is impeding the progress of the institution. According to him, the agency cannot be efficient and effective in carrying out its statutory responsibility with low budgetary allocation. Mr. Cromand used the occasion to call on members of the national legislature to use reason to increase budgetary allotment to the LDA if the fight against illicit drug must be yield fruitful results. The agency only had one functional vehicle that was given for the elections, and bunch of old vehicles are not working anymore. You cannot fix you can't fix vehicle because there is no budget line for it. There is a serious crisis. They should not have chance for surviving anywhere. What I can be asking for you lawmakers is to increase the budget with your support. We want to embrace DA agents in the country. When you see them, it intends to ensure the LDA officer make a minimum wage of 400 monthly as motivation to promote productivity. Mr. Kurman further disclosed that his decision to accept his preferment for the post is intended to make a change. Well, that is just my take about the drug situations in our country. No one in Liberia having understood the situations on ground will want to say that there should be no attention. The government should not invest abundantly, especially in the fight against drug. Bulk of what we are experiencing, based upon the statistics from several other organizations who have since been fronting on the issues about drug addictions in our country, all of them, based upon the reports each one of those organizations has provided, they are very, 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 very damaging for our country. It is about time that our government and the requisite partners have a stakeholder meeting, a multi-sector stakeholder meeting, and try to craft the best policy, try to develop the best programs, try to tailor most of their ideas, especially the rehabilitation component. Because the issues about raiding ghetto, the issues about instituting the best drug law in the country, Now that we have a non-billable offense with some clauses attached to the drug law, I believe that the only time Liberians can actually realize the true essence of all of those regulations we have on papers, unless we have a very smart rehabilitation program. The rehabilitation program is very key, because if you look in the various community, there is absolutely no community in Liberia where you will go to and you cannot find the average youth. They are all around, and some of them are even born children. They are even born children. What become of the future? What become of the future of those children? So it is about time that we need to be very careful of how we handle those issues. We need to be very careful of how we handle those issues. So a few days ago, I was invited by the National Students Command of Liberia, and bulk of what the president spoke about, they had a slight disagreement about what the president said. They had a slight disagreement about what the president said. They had a slight disagreement about what the president said, and they didn't only disagree with what the president said, but they proffered some salient recommendation. They proffer some salient recommendations, and those recommendations are very key. Those recommendations are very key. Those recommendations are very key, because if we want to make a very meaningful impact against the fight of drug, I think the rehabilitation component should be fully structured, should be well designed, should definitely work towards achieving its overarching goal. Because there could be a possibility that you arrest a person. If you don't have a very smart rehabilitation program, there is an obvious possibility that the person who you previously arrested will definitely go back into the same ghetto and start venturing into the very thing. So, but I believe that if we have a very smart rehabilitation program, if you have the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency is being robust in the fight against drug, where you find that agents of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency have gone through a proper scrutiny. Every other thing that A.B. Kramer has said, especially in the fight against this drug issue, those things are very key. Because obviously you cannot be chasing after people who are affected or who are addicted or induced with drug. Then you yourself, your physical appearance can automatically suggest to people that you are involved into the similar attitude. Obviously, nobody will take you seriously. Nobody will want to take you serious. Liberia, like I was reading another article a few days ago where 75% of the work of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, many of those young guys you see there, both of them are volunteers. Huh? So this is a crisis. And the man was very far-sighted to have even recognized something he believed should be worked on. The issues of a budgetary increment, budgetary allocation needs to be worked on. Because if you talk about you want the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agencies to be very robust, there are responsibility attached to that. There are responsibility attached to that. You have to provide the needful logistics. You need motorbikes. You need vehicle. You even need additional equipments, because the officers of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency needs to be fully empowered. When he goes to effectuate a particular arrest, let there be a distinction between an ordinary person and the officers of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. I think we need to actually start. So by very shortly after we entertain our break, we will have two gentlemen from the National Student Command of Liberia. We will definitely be diving strictly into the state of the nation's address, and we will definitely lay key emphasis around the youthful populations, talking about education, which is very important. Like everyone will want to agree with me on this particular issue, that no country make tremendous progress when the people, especially the youth, do not prioritize education. Even the government does not invest abundantly in the areas of education. If you look at Ghana, if you look at Nigeria, and all of the countries in the West African region, you will look at their education budget, or their allotment given to education is very, very encouraging. But in Liberia, it is very sad. The government isn't investing, especially the Tibet sector. I think those are key issues we actually need to prioritize. So let's just take a short break, and after we return, we will have two leaders from the National Students Command of Liberia, and we will definitely be tailoring our conversations around the President's State of the Nation's address, even though it is belated. But there are some key issues within the President's State of the Nation's address that needs to be clearly looked at, and those guys are here basically to erect the necessary checkpoint as possible. So let's just take a short break.
Hello guys, my name is K. Lyndon Toba. I'm your humble presenter of the program, The Focal Point. As the demand for critical analysis and reliable information continue to be the appetite of the Liberian population, it is incumbent upon media practitioners to always be objective, independent, and fact-based in their reportorial duties. The clarion call for credible, reliable, and issue-based presentation must be considered at all times. In the wake of these functions and duty to service, it is only one show that stands tall among the rest. Focal Point, a program where we scrutinize, examine, and cross-examine by allowing the audience participate by posting and calling and commenting on the subject under discussion. We bring the guests in studio, we quiz them, and analyze the issue. Once again, this is your regular Monday friend, K. Lyndon Toba, on the Focal Online TV. Learn.
Find a friend like me. If you not want betrayal, find a friend like me. Find a friend like me. Find a friend like me. If you not want betrayal, find a friend like me.
Bombe oh, find a friend like me. Bombe jene oh, find a friend like me.
Bombe,
find a friend like me.
bombe jene oh.
Find a friend like me.
Hey, see bestie, the bestie not sweet like my bestie. The bestie la 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 bestie, find a friend like me.
I say, see bestie, wanting to wealthy. Find a friend like me.
Okay, so we are back. We are back on Earth, and we just got notified by our technicians that our guests have just walked into the studio. So these two gentlemen are here. One person is not a stranger here. He is part of this particular process. He was here in the genesis of this particular institution and up to present. So, gentlemen, you guys are wholeheartedly welcome again, especially to the program of Focal Points on Focal Online TV.
Thank you.
So we will keep the ball rolling. We will just, for the sake of those who watching, we just need introductions, and we dive strictly into the issues of discussions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lindo. And thanks to the public. My name is Jesse F. Winder. I am the president of the National Student Congress of Liberia, and also a graduate of the University of Liberia. I did chemistry major with emphasis in of sciences, and currently reading masters within epidemiology at the Cottonelle Graduate School. So for that, I think you can get a little of myself. So let me just pass the ball rolling as we get on.
Yeah. Okay. That is brilliant of your part. Let's go over to the other guy.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much to the Focus TV family for giving us the opportunity to air in our views on the President's State of the Nation address. My name is Octavius Benseda James. I am the Acting Secretary General of the Liberian National Student Command and a senior student, graduating student of the University of Liberia reading Public Administration and Business Management. Thank you very much.
All right, let's dive quickly into the issues. I'm very hopeful that this is your first appearance on Focal Online TV since the transition into the year 2024. There has been lots of new things happening into the political space of our country, Liberia. Most importantly, how do you view how do you view the process leading to where we are in terms of governance?
Thank you, Lindo. I must appreciate you for such opportunity. I think in recent times, this is one of the best that we have had to give our perspective on national issues, not just national issues, but critical national issues. And not just giving our perspective, but to also give recommendations that will bring about transforming the country into a middle class society, which everyone try to give their point in terms of changing Liberia. And when it comes to governance in Liberia, I think there are a lot of missteps along the way, and that is the reason why over the time we have been having a lot of issues when it comes to the governance processes in terms of transparency, accountability, and you just have the worst of it, that is corruption. So these issues have been a major concern in Liberia. And for me, I think governance in Liberia is one of the major processes and a major key way in which we have been affected as citizens of Liberia, because people have not been really sincere to us. People have really done taking their responsibility in terms of sincerity to transform the nation.
So let's go back because I think you skipped over the questions that I asked you in terms of how did you observe the fact that a democratically elected government was able to hand down power? What was your observations as a Liberian, as an activist who has since been championing the rights of students? What has been your observations?
Thank you for that. This is a second transition within 76 years. So it is a plus for Liberia. And we must give a rare salute to the previous administration, particularly the president, that is President and George Manuel for respecting the view of the Liberians and that of their votes. So for the fact that we can have a transition again, that is, we have two sitting presidents or past presidents that are living, serving as the democratic Liberia, it's a flaw. And we must support Liberia for that.
And you see that as a message owing to the fact that Liberia have a very fragile democracy, owing to the fact that we fought 14 years of civil war, and now that we are in present war based upon the two transitions we have had. Do you see that as a message that we are sending to other African countries to emulate our examples?
For real. That is just what I'm saying. It is a plus. It is a plus West region. I think Liberia has very high mark when it comes to democratic process for the past 12 years. Yes. For the past 15 years. So if you see with the way we see currently, the Liberians within the West region, and in fact Africa as a whole, Liberia is setting an example or has set an example towards democracy. And we urge every other African country to follow the path of Liberia. When the people reject you, you should also respect their views. Hear what the people that they trust and give the responsibility to. I think it is a plus for us as Liberians.
All right, let's go over to the Secretary General. Let's go over to the Secretary General. On January 22nd, the President-elect Joseph Yamabaka was sworn in as president of the country. When he was delivering his inaugural address, something happened, and a lot of the people have attributed that to be a national disgrace on the part of Liberia. However, some people have since blamed the organizers. You being a person who is very much key on the body politics of Liberia, what is your observations with regard to that? And looking at all of those accounts from the preparation stage of where we are, what is your observations in regard to that particular issue?
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
As it relates to the unfortunate issue that occurred during the induction ceremony of the President Chubwaka, I want to concord with everyone who have raised the bar and saying that is a national embarrassment. I mean, there are two contexts of it. Some people are politicizing it in the sense that from what was said by oppositions of the president, that because he's old and he suffers from fatigue and he does not have the agility and ability to operate as a president. But that's not the context we take it from. These are politics. We understand that the entire organization of POO, I was not really on the scene, but it was a broadcast. It was broadcast. The entire program was broadcast, followed from our Facebook pages. If you look at the ceremony, you notice that even the international guests, they were all sweating and feigning themselves with their hand in the program sheet. Then you understand that the president was situated and surrounded by a group of people, security guards, and the president was wrapping his hand with his.
Do you blame the organizers?
I 100% blame the organizer. The organizer was very poor. It was beyond the standard of a national court, and that must never be repeated. Anybody, apart from Omen Joe Boga being old, anybody who suffer from such heat exhaustion, as you witnessed that there was a guy who died from the heat.
Yeah.
So that is an embarrassment. What if it were going to be some of our international guests, some of the high-profile, prominent people in our African society or the world? You're going to have the country into a serious trouble.
All right. In keeping with Article 58 of the Constitution, a few weeks ago, the president actually spoke to the national legislature, unveiling his plans to drive the country for the next 12 months. The president also spoke about key other issues which Liberian deemed as necessary, and other issues the president spoke about, even though at the time the president was scheduled to have spoken, there were other predictions in the public glare fundamentally, one of the issues that the president spoke about was he declared drug and substance abuse as a national public health emergency. Such debate has since sparked a lot of controversies and arguments across the political space of our country. How do you view the president's statement in regard to the fight against drug? Given the fact that when he was campaigning to become president, he was his party, and many of those people in the Unity Party were since frowning against the issues about drug importations into the country. How do you view it as an organization?
Well, I as you witness our press conference,
Mhm.
I mean, we agree to the fact that the proliferations of drugs in Liberia a call for an or an international health emergency.
Mhm.
But it is not limited to that.
So, do you concur to the president that it should be considered as a national health emergency?
It has been said before
Mhm.
by many Liberians
Mhm.
in the street, even in the street, it has been said. So I see that as a cliche. It's just the normal cliche, oh, drugs is bad, drugs is destroying Liberian society, especially the youth.
Mhm.
So I don't see any substance of that.
Mhm.
But when you are talking about drugs as as an emergency
Mhm.
for Liberia or health emergency, there must be policy attached to that.
Is it that there is no policy?
There was no policy. There was no policy. Substantive policy. That was the reason why NASCO had declared, to be substantive on the issue. We spoke on it, and this is why we are here.
Let's go over to the president. If you are talking about there was absolutely no policies, the president actually spoke about drug, which is very key. Some people have commended him, but they want for the president to be very clear by postulating a clear policy statement that tends to guarantee the fight against drug. What are some of those policies you would definitely be recommending to the president?
Thank you, Lyndon. You see, this is why normally for us from the National Student Congress of Liberia, we do not just tackle national issues and debates
Mhm.
containing issues without giving recommendation. So if for the press conference, we automatically took on the responsibility to do extensive research and gave ways in order to tackle the entire health emergency currently, that is the high increase of the intake of drugs in Liberia.
Mhm.
So when the president spoke, like the Secretary General said,
Mhm.
it is no news in Liberia that drugs is actually an emergency. It is no news that drugs is actually damaging the youth population.
Mhm.
It is no news that drugs should be declared or have been declared
Mhm.
a national emergency.
Mhm.
So you do not come to the spotlight and repeat
Mhm.
when you have campaign all the time.
Do you see that statement as an impression?
In fact, it is just an empty mouth trumping that will distract it.
Mhm.
In fact, it is bear of no practical effect. So that's why NASCO said,
Mhm.
what we do as a country, you should set up a particular committee.
The
That
president
is,
actually set up a committee, a multi-sectoral committee, and he clubbed the responsibility with the Ministry of Health to definitely chair that committee, and the Ministry of Finance also playing a very pivotal role. The LDA and other relevant authorities also playing a very pivotal role. What is your own opposition towards that?
of course, not. There was no committee set up.
A multi-sectoral.
When you set up a committee,
Mhm.
why did I say there was no committee set up?
Mhm.
When you set up a committee, the
Mhm.
first thing that you do, you will have a very vague explanation plan on how they will execute in order to eradicate the emergency.
Mhm.
Did you see anything of such in that particular paper? Of course not. You will set up, you call agency name that should be part of our committee, but what will the committee do? That was a policy statement that the president gave.
Mhm.
So what should have been done? We said there should be a commission, not even a committee. That's why we recommended the National Rehabilitation Commission 2024 should be established. On that commission, the board should be set up. Then you can have these agencies set up the board of the commission. It may not be for only today. We do not think of today. It could be in the future. Why if there is another emergency breakout? Which committee or commission will you use to particularly tackle that? And when you deal with this particular issue today, it means there should be a commission always set in place to always keep that particular aspect in control.
So if you as a Liberian, and speaking on behalf of the student community, and it is obvious that all of the people who are participating into this drug issue in our country are particularly young people. What could be your recommendations in terms of structuring a rigorous committee that stands to collaborate and better still tackle these grave issues like the drug pandemic we have on hand?
Okay, that is where we are.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
So that's why I'm saying you do not need a committee, you need a commission.
Mhm.
There is a difference between a committee and a commission.
Mhm.
Maybe the president have not understood that. From the aspect of a commission,
Mhm.
it means that you can have a board setup.
Mhm.
So you must have the National Rehabilitation Commission of 2024. Liberia have never had such. You don't have a rehabilitation commission in Liberia. So if you have the rehabilitation commission, you must have NFIO involved. NFIO must chair the board. Why NFIO is chairing the board? Because you declare as a public health emergency. So when it is declared as a health emergency, so what happens is that you need this commission and the NFIO must get involved because the NFIO is the National Public Health Institute of Liberia. They deal with what? The entire health crisis in Liberia. When there are health crisis, you go to NFIO. Now, then you must have Ministry of Health involved. You must have the military police. Let me say this. Why are we involved in the AFL? If you have these disadvantaged youth out there,
Involving the AFL, one could argue that that could be a clear breach of the paramilitary status, owing to the fact that we normally use the AFL to respond to grave grave national issues. You bringing the AFL, that could be a clear arbitration to the standing defense policies in the country.
Lyndon, you declare as an emergency. When you declare as an emergency, you use all of the statutory structures in the country.
But there are other paramilitary organizations that
these individuals cannot take the disadvantaged youth from the street. All of the paramilitary institutions are able to grab this emergency as fast as possible. To control this emergency, you need people with courage, serious determination, and the willpower to do that. That is why you're involved not the entire AFL. You just involve the military police. Because you will not tell the disadvantaged youth go to the rehab center. No. You must use measures to take them there. So that's why you have the military police involved. When the military police involved, you must have the DA also involved. The DA will be on a particular board. Then you must have Ministry of Finance Development Planning. Because they need to give us the resources to carry on the particular execution.
All right. Let's go over to the Secretary General, Mr. Secretary. The issues about drug, looking at the proliferations, looking at the hazardous effects of drug addictions in our country, and how many people are being affected by drug addictions, particularly the youthful population. One could say that the issues about just demolishing ghetto is not the best way to fight drug. One could lay more emphasis on the issues about the rehabilitation program as an organization that is also proffering recommendations to the government. What are some of those salient recommendations that you can proffer to the government or people listening so that they can embed within their proposals against the fight of drug?
Well, we have dealt with that issues and we continue to deal with it. The first recommendation is just about the rehabilitation commission. I mean, you can't tell us that to eradicate drugs. I mean, a situation that being declared as a national or health emergency, a national health emergency, right? A situation of such must be dealt with decisively, and to do that, you must use the two measures. These two measures, you must use the health measure, you must use the enforcement measure that has to do with the involvement of security sector. This is why we condemn the aspect of just drugs tax taking. I mean, we said in the press conference that to take tests is necessary, but that is the last aspect. That is after you have exhausted.
So how do you determine as to whether the person is actually infected with the issue?
Okay, listen. We see a lot of vulnerable vulnerable young people in the street. People who, as soon you look at them, you don't need a rocket scientist, you don't need a test to tell you that this person is infested with drugs. I mean, there are symptoms that are very clear. I mean, we see it in gallery, we see people who are induced with coups and other narcotic drugs, how they behave. And you see their condition, how deplorable it is. And where they sit, you see the environment they are in, you know that they are infested. These people, you can't be telling about taking drugs. Okay, the question to you as a journalist or the president, when you see the people in the condition, in the kind of places, in the kind of environment, if you give them the test and they are found positive of drugs, what do you do next? Are you going to kill them? Are you going to remain? They are going to remain in the street, or they are going to be left to where they are? What is the solution? The solution is what we call it for the Rehabilitation Commission. Because if these people are being grabbed in the street, and if because you want to prove, then you say, let's grab them and give them test. When they are being found that as people who are positive in drugs taking and inducement, they can be taken to the Rehabilitation Commission. And these people can be, revitalized. They can be reintegrated into society by the normal measure of treatment, training, education, vocation. These are things that we are talking about.
Let's go over to the president. It puts a lot of people back because this is a national exercise. So this is a national exercise because the last time I was reading a very damaging report on the issues of a drug in Liberia, where you will notice that many of our brothers and sisters are getting so much addicted to these issues about drug. So one would like to place more emphasis on the rehabilitation program. As a president, you have been championing the rights of students. What do you envisage within the rehabilitation program? What are some of those key components you envisage? And you are more convinced that if those programs are embedded within the rehabilitation program, there will definitely be a solution for Liberia or Liberia crisis at hand.
There's a difference between the National Student Commitment, the vast majority of the student groups in Liberia. When we speak to issues, we give you clear way forward. That's why the commission is different from the rehab center. When you establish a commission, then you have the establishment of the National Rehabilitation Center. In the center, there are three basic components. The first one, it is the renowned clinic, because the drugs will be flushed out. The second is the vocational or the educational vocational center. That is, when the drug is struck and flushed out, you need to give these people skill. When they get the skill, then it means the next thing is you must have psychologists. That is people that will always motivate them and then give them the essence of being a real human. Because there is a specific component of their life. There is a specific aspect of their life that they have missed. They have divided themselves. That is, their self-esteem has died. So because the self-esteem is normal, that's why they do what they do. So to do that, you must have somebody who can reawaken that sense of self. When that sense comes back, it means that they come back to society. Then after you do that, when they pass through all of these stages, when the drug has been out, when you get their skill, when you also go back and reawaken a sense of consciousness, then it means that you can do the test if they are negative. Then after they are negative, these people can graduate from the center, reintegrate them. In fact, from our studies, from our research, it has been proposed to the president that when the rehabilitation center is done with 1,000 persons, there is a possibility that 10% will go back to the street, 90% will be safe. The society is gradually going on. Then you are combating drugs. You do not come back to us as a president who have campaigned with the message of drugs. And then after almost 2 to 3 months, you sit down to address the state, and then you just give an empty statement or set a multilateral committee.
But the president has since committed to serve, and he inspired other people to to lead by example, owing to the fact that he said he will present himself
To take
the
drugs?
requisite authority to
Where do you take them when you don't have a rehab center in Liberia? Okay, that is the question we're asking the president. That is being serious. In fact, it is reckless to say so. Why do you need a drug test to see somebody who is on the street or in the ghetto? Do you need a drug test to see a typical quote-unquote Zogo and classify as someone who is being abused of drugs? We said this over and over. There were emergencies in Liberia that were combated. Come an example, the Ebola virus. When the Ebola virus came, when you show the symptom of the Ebola virus, they do not just take you to carry to test and leave you. What happens is the quarantine was 7 days. In the 7 days period, they do the test. When you are negative, they free you. Right? That's what normally happens in Liberia. That's how you combat drugs. That's how you combat emergency. You do not combat emergency with empty statements. When you do the test with a drugs infested individual, where do you take them? That is the question we have been asking the president over and over.
All right. In the midst of the drug issue, though the government is making some frantic step to basically impress Liberians against the fight of drug, there are some slight mistakes which, of course, your organization has since been recommending for the government to definitely include. And you are of the conviction that if the government adhere to those recommendations, you are providing the government will definitely make a meaningful impact in the fight against drug. So over the last few days, the president appointed A.B. Cromand, a veteran security expert who has since been operating into the security landscape of our country. He served as chief of staff of the armed forces of Liberia, and under the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf era, he served as 102. Due to some other issue, he was dismissed for administrative reason. What do you purposely make of the appointment and of A.B. Cromand?
Lyndon, thank you. Lyndon, there is nothing new with the individuals that have been circulated in government. Like you said, A.B. Cromand served and was dismissed. A.B. Cromand is not a new face. It is just a transferring from one body to another.
For people that since he was nominated to that position, there are a lot of people who have since been blowing horns, owing to the fact that they feel much convinced that A.B. Cromand will definitely perform in that particular capacity.
The expectation is high, without any backing. So the point is, you see, even A.B. Cromand go out with the highest amount of expertise, when there is no mission to combat drugs, you will take these guys from the ghetto, go and jail them, free them, and go back to the ghetto. So you see why it is necessary to take on the recommendation. You see the essence of it.
Okay, let me just speak to that issue. I mean, the issue about the public being excited about A.B. Cromand based on the records in the security sector, especially when he was 102. I mean, the kind of drastic measure he took against motorcyclists, especially when it was a policy that.
Do you still see him being more drastic against the fight of drug?
I mean, he's going to be drastic, but this is the context. I mean, Buck are bringing people because they are not elected to a certain level, especially when it comes to the kind of drugs processing. This is not their only concern is. I mean, when A.B. Cromand, because we sit in the public gallery, we go to Ataisha and other places, we hear people talking. When A.B. Cromand is a DA boss, technically, when he sees a drugs addict or somebody taking drugs, I mean, he's going to beat them, he's going to collect them and put them in jail. Is that sufficient to take or to eradicate drugs? No, because we have seen them being beaten several other times. We have seen them being jailed several other times. As we speak, if you go to Central, you go to all of the local police stations around this country, you will see people being arrested for drugs. But after a while, because government does not have a specific area to put the people or to train the people to flush these drugs off, they will have to release them and go back to where they come from. So, I mean, it's just a process of keeping people as they are working, but people are still doing the same. It's almost like you have a drum full, you have a big drum, you say full the drum, but the drum is leaking. Every time you put water inside, the water goes down to the ground. Every time you put water inside, it goes down to the ground. So it is a futile effort. So this aspect about celebrating somebody who is going to be robust. I mean, it robust, recklessly robust to unleash casualties on the young people who have been abused. Some of the people who have been induced unknowingly to themselves. It's not a measure we are talking about. This is why we say, even though we agree, we are certified, we acknowledge, we are in concurrence to the security setup being a part of this process. Because sometimes people must be frightened by these things. But after you grab these people, where do you carry them? How do you get them out of the process? And this requires serious training. This is why we talk about psychiatrists being involved. Because people are getting mad, people are getting crazy from the process, people are even dying. So you can't just go tell us that Eddie Kuma will grab the people in the street, all the children see Eddie Kuma coming, they will run away. When they run, where do they go? They go into the environment. It's not going to appear everywhere at the same time. I mean, this is useless to just be excited about that.
Okay, let's look at over the last few days. Over the last few days, under former President George Manuel era, there have been several other protests aimed at calling the government attentions to actually elevate the status of drug law from a billable offense to a non-billable offense. However, President Weah worked in the interest of Liberian people after witnessing several protests across the country. What do you make of the president's statement? The gravitations of the drug law we have in our country from a billable offense to a non-billable offense. What do you make? To what extent is it going to be very vital in the fight against drug in our country?
Lyndon, like we said, the law of just being non-billable is good, it is relevant, it is important, but it is ineffective when you do not have a commission that will first take those that have been affected from the street, rehabilitate them, and integrate them back into the society. When that is done, then a non-billable offense cannot be effective. It means automatically the ones that are on the street will be lessened, they will be less, they will be reduced, they will be taken from the point of escalation to de-escalation. Then you will not have the proliferation of the intake of drugs in Liberia. The first thing that will be done to combat this national emergency is to have the commission be established. If the commission is established, you establish national rehab center. If the rehab center is established,
you seem so confident about the establishment or the clarion call for the establishment of a particular commission, and you believe that when the commission is established, the commission will definitely be a one-stop shop for all of the problems we are actually confronted with regarding the drug issues in Liberia. What specific oversight do you believe that the commission will definitely exert?
Let me give you a scenario. When Ebola hit Liberia, Liberia had nothing called FAO. There was nothing called the National Public Health Institute of Liberia. It was never part of Liberia history until Ebola hit. When that national emergency hit Liberia, it was the time people came, experts sat down and established the entire FAO. When the FAO came, coronavirus came to Liberia. Coronavirus did not affect Liberia like the Ebola affected Liberia. So you see, that bring it back and relate it to what we are saying. If you establish the National Rehabilitation Commission and the NRC is in establishment, you have the National Rehab Center. It means tomorrow there can be no national outbreak of drugs in Liberia that can be controlled. But when there is no commission, when you do not have the center being established, when you do not have people who have specific focus towards the combat of drugs in Liberia, automatically the DOB there will be fighting a losing battle. You will have the Liberian National Police fighting another losing battle. You will have all of the private and all of the security sector fighting battles that are not relevant. And it will just be fighting, but like the SG said, you will be putting water in the drum, but yet you use a safe to place the water in the drum. So that's it.
That sounds very comical.
Of course. So it is just a normal way. So you will have a specific commission being set up. People that will just have their heads on the drugs combativity. People that will know that yes, indeed, in order for the society to go on a smooth path, because the young people should be the one to take all the barrier years to come.
I'm particular about the security aspect about the fight against drugs. Normally in Liberia, this issue about manipulating the justice system has often almost is fast gravitating into a culture wherein police officers assigned to do their responsibility to execute a particular arrest or function when somebody is being caught into the web of their investigations or their probe, they would normally receive calls from higher up. What recommendations do you intend to basically proffer to the government in the wake of advancing or strengthening their effort against this particular issue?
Okay, basically, it is almost related to when you talk about enacting a bill that will make drugs billable or non-billable. But let me say this to you, Linton. The process is not not be surrounded by mirage or political shenanigans. I mean, you can't have majority of the young people, vast majority of the young people, being placed into destitution just from drugs, and then you say, "Oh, drugs is going to be not billable." I mean, it's just like people growing up in a home, and the father is saying to you, anybody who goes out and come back after 8 o'clock, I will beat you. I mean, the person go out, you come back, you beat them. They go out, they come back, you beat them. After 2 or 3 times, you continue to beat everybody. I mean, you're going to get exhausted. But the idea must surround, how can you eradicate this process? If you are being able to reduce drugs, then now you can attach the kind of, robust law to it. Most especially when you talk about the justice system is being manipulated, definitely then that will come to lawmakers and top government officials who are in dealing with these kind of drugs activities. And let me tell you, it is just a political statement. Anybody will be given the responsibility to hear the executive branch of government, that is the president. They will make such statement to excite the public. But this law must be backed by legislations. And who are those people involved to legislate this particular law? That the people in the legislators. Who are they? How are they involved? How are those in the judicial system involved? What of these people are just takers? What of the people are business who are involved with justice? So then you must first of all try to find out where is this drugs coming from? Who are those importing drugs? The DEA itself need to be searched. The immigration service need to be searched. Oh yes, these people must be tackled first. When you have people who are competent, people who come in with more understanding to the process, people who feel that our society needs to be liberated from the drugs, the drugs endeavor, these are people you must be able to entrust. But every time, listen, the current DEA, for me, I grew up in Kingsville, and I saw lots of young people, who are intakers of drugs and other hard substance, narcotic materials. Most of these people were recruited. I don't know whether they passed through the Bravo channel, even the Liberian National Police. If you go to Radio now, you'll see a lot of young people, they are police people, and they do not pass through the requisite.
Currently, the LDA, based upon the information we are getting, is that 75% of their workforce is voluntary. So there's absolutely no evaluation process on how to determine or how to determine their workforce.
And this is the case. These are people who are taking drugs. I can record that, one time I was unfortunate to have gotten into an issue, and I went to jail in one of the police stations in Pindale. I spent something like 2 hours, 30 minutes in jail. I saw a policeman taking money from those guys who are intake of this material, going to where they can get it and buy it and bring it to them. So I don't know whether this is a professional policeman or it's just bad. the normal recruiting or the police pepper. I mean, what is the police aim?
Okay,
So the system must be evaluated. The system must be touched. The system must be touched before you're talking about non-believable or believable.
all right. Sometimes if you listen to some Liberians, they tend to proffer a lot of recommendations to the government, especially the security arm, in the wake of combating or tackling these issues about drug entry into our country. Sometimes if you listen to them, they hold a view that the police need to actually beef up their security at the various entry points of our country. You as a person, what do you make of their call?
All those that we want a change within the system should be applauded because it means well for Liberia. You know, if this country is to be changed and to help its citizens, it means the leaders should be sincere. The leaders, the campaign messages they can come with, the way each of them will come and explain to the people what they will do when they take power. They should be sincere to themselves when they take power and implement. The laws are now approving. The laws are there. Read the laws of Liberia. In fact, if you do serious law violation in the West, South Africa, Liberia has the best laws for the way in which systems should work. But unfortunately, the implementation is the problem. People are not having a political will. People see themselves as a way to get rich, to enrich their family, keep money for their family and their children, instead of doing the will of the people that will benefit the vast majority of the Liberians. So the first thing that the Secretary General said, the system should be taught. Those that are involved, basically the first branch of government.
Are you calling for a drug test of all of the officers of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency?
I do not see a drug test as a major system now.
What do you
As
see?
a major problem now. Establish a commission. Leave those that are taking drugs but yet not on the street. Because it's not yet relevant to us as it is. The most important one, the most dangerous ones are the ones on the street attacking the peaceful citizens that are there and they are going wayward on a daily basis. I am saying to you, the drug test is necessary. What you do is, when these ones have been reduced on the street, then you introduce a drug test for those that take drugs but yet in the house. Those that sell drugs and also take drugs. You now introduce a drug test to all of the major stakeholders in Liberia. You must take the drug test. And then it means you will now have a very clear call out there for the public. It means the young people will be reduced. But now, as it is, even when you do drug tests to those that are seated in the offices, what help will it really give Liberia?
Okay, let's also look at the cooperations, the cooperative stem from the various communities. I believe that in the minds and opinions of all Liberians, they believe that the process about fighting drugs should be collaborated with the community leaders. Where do you stand? If we are to decentralize the fight against drugs, should you believe that the community people, the community leaders, all well-meaning authorities like Amy Coleman is recommending, should be educated about the harmful substances of all of those drugs that is coming into our country?
For real. But the first thing I think you just start from the head, the president, to do any change in the country, to enact a change in any nation, the one who sits.
And this is why he has committed himself to.
It is empty. It is empty. We have said that over and over. Then the president gets serious with the fight of drugs. He is not serious currently.
What extent do you believe will the president's action portray to you that the president is actually serious to fight
doing a drug test? Is it as serious as you are saying it? We are saying establish a commission, establish a rehab center. That will see a big explanation plan. That will see a way forward. And yes, indeed, even when you do the drug test, you know, can take you to this area and then you'll be seen. It is almost like you come and do some other malaria test, but you don't have a clinic nor a hospital. Or maybe your first aid. Take the malaria test and do a test. The man is suffering from 2+ malaria. You don't have a clinic, you don't have a hospital to take the man. What do you do to save that person's life? That is where we are. So because you don't have the clinic, you don't have the hospital, and you don't have the doctors or the nurses to treat the person, it means automatically you do not have the will to tackle the issue of drugs in Liberia or the epidemic.
Yeah. Thank you. The issue about the awareness and the involvement of community leaders and community dwellers is important, right? But let's say that if a community leader or the leadership of the township is aware of a particular person being induced with drugs, and they try to report that to the Liberia DA Association or whatever the case is, what will be their reaction? Their reaction is to come to arrest the person and carry the person to jail. I mean, as like Eastern we said, same rape was branded as a non-billable crime. The awareness was to not negotiate the conversation on how to do with rape. When you grab somebody in the community who is involved with such activities, you must report them to the police, and definitely when you arrest you, send the person to court, right? And the person is being investigated. So now, without the establishment of a rehabilitation commission, with all the establishment of other, subcommittees that will be able to handle the process, this is not about killing people. This is about teaching society and teaching the people. So, community leaders are aware that the people are taking drugs. They report this to LDA. Now, LDA come to arrest the people. Where do they carry them? They carry them to Liberia National Police. How does this society? This is the question. So until and unless this commission is being settled and the facility is being built where there is a renowned hospital, where there is a renowned training of vocational service applied, then there is no need for you to be arresting people.
Okay, folks. So we are in conversation with two Liberian brilliant people. Jesse Window is the president of the National Student Command of Liberia, and he has come along with his acting Secretary General, and they have since been providing a lot of recommendations to the government to definitely listen to and incorporate within their policies or their ensuing policies against the fight against drug. So one last question before we take that is specifically to Jesse. What do you make if an agent of the Liberia Drug Enforcement is caught into a fraudulent act where he was noticed of having arrested a particular person who was linked, and he got compromised in that particular event? What recommendations are you making to the government for his actions to be penalized in accordance with law?
But trust is just not believable in Liberia. It means somebody who will negotiate drugs, you should bear the full weight of the law. Do you propose? Are you also proposing that dismiss the man from the entire system? Are you also proposing that the government should have a specific entity like the Liberia Drug Regulatory Authority as a subcomponent within the LDA to be able to investigate and bring to book those who are breaching the ethics standards and principles of the agents of the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency? You mean the LMHRA? Yeah, not the LMHRA, a specific component of the Drug Enforcement Agency that deals particularly with conduct of the officers who go to effectuate an arrest. Lyndon, you have security apparatus involved. If you set up the commission, you have security apparatus. You have the executive directly involved. You know the executive enforcing law. So when an individual is caught in such act, automatically the apparatus there for the person to court, because you do not run a person guilty until before a competent jurisdiction. You do not say because you caught the man or it is at that moment it will be alleged. Until the man goes to court, the court takes the major processes involved with his investigation. When he's caught and it is proven that indeed he facilitated drugs, It means you bear the full weight of the law. The law has explained that those who are facilitated.
Is there a law that specifically point out or pinpoint those who are facilitated or those who are in the process of compromising those particular?
But for real, when you give a law,
Mhm.
specifically you say this is non-beatable,
Mhm.
all those facilitate a particular act, when it is proven that they are guilty,
Mhm.
they are specific component of the law that exam particular punishment of them. Probably,
Mhm.
maybe a person who sells drugs
Mhm.
will be given 15 years imprisonment. It means those who facilitate will be given out of 10 or 5 years imprisonment. So it means when they go through the particular process. But firstly, not just worry about punishing them, but you dismiss them for the entire sector. It means they are the bad apple in that particular sector. So if they are caught, and maybe somebody is being alleged for the DA, and then or they compromise jobs, they facilitate their jobs. The first line involved those who elect the person, for the person to court, when the person goes through the verifiable procedures, then the next thing is to dismiss the man if he has been found guilty. Then you punish him. That's how the system should be. But unfortunately in Liberia, it is the other way around. When a man is caught in an act, I mean, what happens is that even when you file the medical court, after 2 days, the entire case is lost from the surface. You don't see it.
All right, let's go over to the SG. When we come back to Jesse, then he will give us a party comments because we are actually pressed for time. What do you intend, aside from just releasing a press conference and having multiple press conference and making many media appearances? What do you intend to ensure that your message resonates with the public?
Well, for us, we are student movement,
Mhm.
and as such, that we believe that during the time of national emergency,
Mhm.
we must be able to enlighten our people
Mhm.
on what to do and what not to do.
Mhm.
And this is why we use the media online,
Mhm.
use the various wavelengths
Mhm.
to spread all the message to the Liberian people
Mhm.
and as far as those in national leadership. And apart from that, when these messages are going across and it doesn't really limit us to just say it in the public. Somebody will argue or state out will argue that nothing like that, nothing of such was brought to our attention. So we also use the means to petition national government. It is our right to do that. So after all this, and when we understand that this purported committee that have been set up by Mr. President Joe Boyka, it is ineffective and it does not give us any substance to what it has to do with drugs, fight against drugs.
But do you see the committee to be ineffective?
Yeah, because it is fake and indistinct. There was no, plan attached to the policy in the president. Little Haranku, he didn't say anything to us. So maybe he tried to just bring it back to the survey. Maybe they have further plan, but if it is not effective, and we cannot determine what is effective, and as far as we concerned, that is a political shenanigans. And for us, because we do not have time for those kind of chicanery, this is what we have recommended and we continue to recommend. And if it will lead us to petition this president at the executive mansion and the lawmaking body, the legislators, then we will do that.
All right. So we have actually talked a lot about the drug issues. Some other days I know how to get to the president, Mr. Winder. So also basically scrutinize and tear apart the president's State of the Nation address. But today we were able to specifically point out the issues about the drug issue, which of course we believe those issues is very important. And as such, considering the fact that you people are from the student community, who are trying to be an alternative voice, given the fact that many of the students, authorities, and organizations in Liberia are almost at the verge of being compromised, and you guys are now you guys are now the only voice, the singular voice for the student community. So, Mr. Jesse, we are back to you for your parting comments.
Thank you, Lyndon. Firstly, I would like to say thank you. It is unprecedented for a young man like you to understand and dichotomize between the various sectors of the society and choose the side of the students. So this is why normally when there is a major popular call towards a fresh air of change within society, we look up to people like you. That's why we are said all the time that no business as usual. There will be no one national student movement in Liberia. There will be multinational student groupings. Why? Because for the years, we know that the entire elite was being compromised, was being monitored, was being manipulated, and placed in a little box by the political actors and national actors. So due to that, students were left vulnerable, students were being abused, students were being trampled upon, and there were no voice that could have stood up for the students in defense of the ordinary people. So that's why we saw it necessary to amalgamate the forces to bring up a national movement, a grassroots national student grouping. That is the National Student Committee of Liberia, to champion the cause where there will be no one national student grouping. Nextly, we also recommend to the president on his fight. Let me re-echo this in the press conference, that the aspect of revitalizing our educational sector is important. Like he said, we love it, we appreciate him, but yet he did not also attach any relevant or importance towards that particular fight. Imagine a president talking about illiteracy.
Probably in the coming days, I would definitely invite you so that we can, look at this part of the statement that talked about education.
No problem. So I just want to re-echo it.
Yeah. Proceed.
So the aspect of education, if he wants to fight education or he wants to help revamp education in Liberia, the first thing you should be telling us is you give us how many percentage of the national budget should be given to education. That's what serious leader does. A serious leader who ready to fight any national emergency will tell you how you will fight it. You cannot tell your build structures, infrastructures. You cannot tell that you will give us quality education without telling us how.
Do you see President Joseph Dimabwaka moving on the rescue train?
Of course not. I think he's still excited. He's still excited with the position. And I want to say to the president, Mr. President, excitement is over. You should have been excited the very day NDC announced you. Here, it is no more about excitement. It is about the work. And when you come into the people with policy-driven issues, it should be vivid, it should be succinct, it should be precise. So because your plans are not always precise, you always see us. And we will not just come. We'll come with recommendation. So we recommend that you allocate 15 to 20% of the national budget of education. Really want to reform education area. And then adopt a serious monitoring and evaluation system towards the particular resources in order for us to be able to get out it needed processes done. So thank you. We want to say thank you to FOCAT and TV family. That is Andy Bobler Jada, the rest of the leaders of the Andy Bobler Jada Foundation. This is a plus for the National Student Committee of Liberia. We call on all students within the republic, all the students, to wrap heads around NASCO, that is the National Student Committee of Liberia, towards a single front that is giving our generation another face. Because we know all of the instruments that should have done this have been dead, and this is why we come out as the only hope and the beacon of trust for the students. Thank you very much. I say thank you to the public and the viewing audience.
All right, thank you to let's go over to the Acting Secretary General Otavius.
Yeah, thank you very much. And like I said, we appreciate, your generosity and your curiousness as a group of people who want to get involved with the information process of our country. And we are excited that we have been given the platform to be able to enlighten our people on growing issues surrounding our country's interest. Yes, somebody will ask for again, what about Liberia National Student Union? But again, we say that these things will continue to happen. One, there are contradictions we say are wrong to form new generation. We, like the president said, that when the students' interests are being trampled upon, when we understand that work of the student institution in our country are being compromised, they were being hypnotized and indoctrinated and induced by resources from national actors, then there is a need that people who are members of the right-wing nationalists, growing intelligentsia students will be able to stand up for the country for the students and for the young people. So we will continue to stay to enlighten our students and to advocate for our country, for our people, most especially for the young people of this country. We thank you very much. Thank you for the time, and we hope that we will be able to have this platform again to talk about many other issues that affect our country.
Okay, the platform is all yours. The platform is all yours. Okay, folks, thanks to all of you who have since been viewing this live broadcast. It is very, very fascinating. It has been a very fascinating one. A very, very, very sound conversations on today. My name is Kid Lyndon Toba. This is how I choose to say bye bye. But many thanks to all of you who make it your responsibility to keep watching this program and keep watching more of our content as we move along the day. Our management is doing a fantastic job, hoping that we can transition into a full-fledged radio stations in the coming weeks. Thanks to all of you. My name is Kid Lyndon Toba. Bye bye from my end.
Yeah. Well,